Child. Y'all need to sit down for this one because what I'm about to tell you is absolutely unhinged. Chrisean Rock, yes, that Chrisean Rock, allegedly just got caught up in what people online are calling the messiest, most vicious financial setup of the entire year. And I'm not talking about some little misunderstanding at the ATM, loves. I'm talking bank fraud allegations, a mysterious 19-year-old lover, check schemes that have the entire internet in a chokehold, and a shadowy figure known only as 33K who may have orchestrated this whole nightmare. Reportedly, Chrisean walked into a bank thinking it was just another day. And within minutes, allegedly, everything went sideways. Security flagged suspicious activity, investigators supposedly started swarming, and the internet? Oh, honey, the internet exploded with accusations that she'd been set up by someone she trusted. Okay, so before we dive into the absolute chaos, let me paint the picture for you, because this story has layers, like multiple layers of betrayal, alleged manipulation, and straight-up digital warfare happening across every platform you can imagine. Word on the street is that Chrisean didn't walk into this situation alone. According to reports circulating on TikTok, YouTube drama channels, Facebook groups, and Reddit threads, she was allegedly accompanied by a 19-year-old man, someone sources claim she's been romantically linked to recently. Now, we don't have confirmed details on their relationship status, but the internet has already decided he's at the center of this entire mess. And here's where it gets really interesting, loves. Witnesses, well, online witnesses, which, take that how you will, claim that what started as a calm bank visit quickly turned into something that looked like a high-risk operation gone horribly wrong. Alleged check slips, suspicious deposits, bank staff reportedly panicking and flagging transactions, and all of this allegedly happening while Chrisean is just there, standing there, potentially having no idea she's about to become the face of what the internet is now calling a brutal financial conspiracy. Within literal minutes, her name started trending under fraud, setup, and betrayal. Screenshots started flooding timelines. Blurred receipts were being passed around like contraband. Reels, TikToks, reaction videos, everybody had something to say. And the wildest part? Most people seemed to believe she was trapped, set up, used as a pawn by someone she allegedly trusted. Here we go, loves. Buckle up. Now, I know what some of y'all are already thinking. You're sitting there like, okay, but how do we even know this is real? This sounds like internet drama that got blown way out of proportion. And look, valid. That's a completely fair question. Because, let's be honest, when it comes to celebrity gossip and viral scandals, the line between what actually happened and what the internet thinks happened can get real blurry real fast. Some people online are saying, well, maybe she knew exactly what she was doing. Maybe this wasn't a setup at all. Maybe she was fully involved and now she's just playing victim. And okay, sure, that's one perspective. There are always going to be people who think the worst, who assume someone's guilty before all the facts come out. But here's the thing, loves. Multiple sources, and I'm talking drama channels with millions of followers, TikTok investigators who live for this kind of content, Reddit threads with hundreds of comments dissecting every detail, are all saying the same thing. This looks like a setup. The patterns, the timeline, the way everything allegedly went down, it's giving someone planned this. And before you say, well, where's the proof? Trust me, we're getting there. Because the internet has allegedly dug up so much information in the past few days that it's honestly hard to keep track. From the mysterious 19-year-old's background to the shadowy 33K figure who keeps getting mentioned in every single breakdown video, there are layers to this story. So yeah, could some of this be exaggerated? Could some details be off?
Absolutely. The internet loves to add extra spice to everything. But when you look at the sheer volume of people reporting similar versions of events, when you see the screenshots, the alleged timelines, the reactions from people who claim to have insider knowledge, it's hard to completely dismiss it all as fake, you know? Anywho, let's get into what actually allegedly happened, because that's where this story gets absolutely wild.
All right. So here's how the story reportedly unfolded, according to the internet's collective investigation. Allegedly, Chrisean Rock walked into a bank. Sources say it was a major national bank, though the specific location hasn't been confirmed publicly, with her alleged 19-year-old companion. Now, from what people online are piecing together from various posts and alleged insider tips, this wasn't supposed to be a complicated visit. Just a regular transaction, right? Deposit a check, handle some business, move on with your day. Except, allegedly, the check in question, super suspicious. According to TikTok breakdowns and YouTube commentary channels, bank employees reportedly took one look at the check amount and the account information and immediately flagged it as unusual activity. We're talking about a check that multiple sources claim was in the tens of thousands of dollars range. Some say around $33,000, which, yes, lines up with that mysterious 33K nickname that keeps popping up, but we'll get to that in a second. I mean, yikes. If you're trying to deposit a 5-figure check and the bank staff start exchanging looks and making phone calls, that's not a good sign, loves. That's the universal banking signal for something is very wrong here. So, reportedly, what happened next was this. The bank employees allegedly asked Chrisean and her companion to wait while they verified the check. And according to online accounts, again, take this with whatever sized grain of salt you want, that verification process turned into something much more serious. Drama channels are claiming that within minutes, bank security was involved. Some accounts say management was called. A few particularly dramatic retellings even suggest that law enforcement was contacted, though we don't have confirmed evidence of that specific detail yet. Honestly, if even half of that is true, that's absolutely terrifying. Imagine going to the bank thinking you're just handling regular business, and suddenly you're being questioned, watched, investigated. And if Chrisean really had no idea the check was fraudulent, which is what a lot of people believe, then she was allegedly set up to take the fall for something she didn't even orchestrate. And here's why this matters, loves, because this isn't just about one bad check or one questionable transaction. If the allegations are true, this represents a pattern of manipulation. Someone, whether it's the 19-year-old, this 33K figure, or someone else entirely, allegedly used Chrisean Rock's name, her face, her trust to pull off a scheme that could have destroyed her reputation and possibly gotten her in serious legal trouble. Now, let's talk about who reportedly brought that check to the bank in the first place, because this is where the betrayal allegations get really deep. Multiple sources across social media are pointing fingers directly at the alleged 19-year-old companion. Reddit threads, TikTok videos, YouTube breakdowns, they're all saying variations of the same thing. He's the one who allegedly had the check. He's the one who allegedly convinced her to come to the bank. He's the one who allegedly set the whole thing up. One popular TikTok breakdown said, and I quote, "She was allegedly walking in there thinking she was helping someone she cared about. She probably had no idea she was about to become the face of a fraud investigation." Another YouTube commentary channel put it like this. This is literally the oldest trick in the book. Use someone with a public platform, someone recognizable, to make a shady transaction look legitimate. And if that's what happened, if he really did manipulate her into being there, into being associated with that check, into potentially taking legal heat for something she didn't even orchestrate, That's not just messy relationship drama, loves. That's allegedly calculated. That's allegedly predatory. That's the kind of setup that could have life-changing consequences for someone.
Okay, so we've covered the bank incident itself. But trust me, that's just the beginning. Because once the internet started digging into this story, they allegedly found, connections that make this whole situation look even more sinister. Let's talk about 33K. If you've been following this drama on Reddit or watching the TikTok breakdowns, you've definitely seen this name, or rather this nickname, pop up over and over again. 33K. No real name attached, no confirmed identity, just this shadowy figure that allegedly has ties to the entire scheme. Here's what the internet has pieced together so far, allegedly. First, the check amount that was allegedly flagged at the bank, approximately $33,000. Coincidence? The internet doesn't think so. Second, multiple people in comment sections and forum threads claim they've heard the nickname 33J in connection to street-level financial schemes before. Like, this isn't allegedly his first rodeo. Third, and this is where it gets really conspiracy theory, but also weirdly compelling, some drama channels are suggesting that 33K might actually be the mastermind behind the whole operation, and that the 19-year-old was just a middleman. Essentially, the theory is that 33K allegedly orchestrated the scheme, used the 19-year-old to rope Chrisean in, and set the whole thing up so that, if anything went wrong, she would be the one left holding the bag. I mean, woof! If that's true, that's layers upon layers of manipulation and betrayal, loves. That's not just one person making a bad decision. That's allegedly an entire network designed to exploit someone's trust. Now, I want to be clear. A lot of this is speculation. We don't have confirmed identities. We don't have official police reports being shared publicly. What we have is a massive online investigation happening in real time, with thousands of people combing through every detail they can find. But here's what people believe: there's something to all of this, allegedly. Screenshots that have been circulating supposedly showed text conversations between the 19-year-old and other people discussing moves and bank drops, language that sounds very much like planned financial schemes. Social media deep dives allegedly revealed that the 19-year-old has some sketchy connections. People in his Instagram comments and tagged photos who are reportedly known for scamming and fraud. And pattern recognition, drama channels have pointed out that this isn't the first time someone close to a celebrity has allegedly used their proximity to pull off financial schemes. It's a known tactic. Get close to someone with money or fame, gain their trust, and then exploit that trust for a personal gain. And when you start connecting those dots, when you look at the timeline, the people involved, the way everything allegedly played out, it starts to look less like a random incident and more like a planned setup. But here's where things get even messier, if you can believe it. Some people online, specifically on Reddit and in YouTube comment sections, are suggesting that this might not even be about money, or at least not just about money. There's a growing theory that this could be tied to relationship drama, revenge, or even intentional career sabotage. The logic goes like this. If someone wanted to damage Chrisean Rock's public image, to make her look reckless or criminal, to potentially get her in legal trouble that could affect her career and custody situations, what better way than to tie her to a fraud investigation? One popular Reddit thread said, think about it. If she gets arrested or charged with fraud, that affects everything. Her music career, her reality show prospects, her custody battle. This could be someone trying to destroy her life from multiple angles. Another comment I saw, they got thousands of upvotes, was the 19-year-old might have been paid or pressured by someone who has beef with Chrisean. This feels personal. Now, is that what actually happened? We don't know. That's pure speculation based on patterns and possibilities. But it's the kind of speculation that makes sense when you look at how calculated this whole thing allegedly was.
Okay, so now that you've heard the basic allegations, let's talk about how the internet reacted because, honey, the reactions were immediate and they were intense. Within hours of this story breaking, or rather within hours of TikTok and YouTube drama channels picking it up, Chrisean's name was trending across literally every platform. And I'm not talking about casual trending. I'm talking top of Twitter trends, thousands of TikToks with millions of views, Instagram stories, Facebook posts, Reddit mega threads. This thing exploded. So first, you have the people who were genuinely shocked and worried for her. Comments like, "Oh my God, I hope she's okay. She's been through so much already. And if someone really did set her up, that's horrible. Chrisean deserves better than this. Why do people always try to take advantage of her?" Or, "This is so sad. She finally seems like she's trying to get her life together. And then this happens." These are the people who see Chrisean as someone who's made mistakes, but is ultimately being taken advantage of because of her fame and her trusting nature. Then you had people who were sympathetic, but also questioning. Like, I feel bad if she really was set up, but also, why would you go to the bank with someone you barely know to deposit a massive check? At some point, you have to use common sense. She's an adult. Even if someone lied to her, shouldn't there have been red flags? I hope she's innocent, but this isn't the first time she's been in some kind of drama. Pattern is a pattern. These folks aren't necessarily blaming her, but they're also not fully convinced she's a completely innocent victim. And then, because it's the internet and people can be absolutely brutal, you had the people who showed zero sympathy. Like, y'all really out here acting like she's some naive little victim. She knew what she was doing. Stop defending celebrities who make dumb choices. Bank fraud is bank fraud. If she deposited a fake check, she's complicit. Period. She stays in drama 24/7. At this point, it's a choice. Now, I want to pause here and say these reactions are harsh and they're not necessarily based on all the facts. A lot of people jump to conclusions without knowing the full story. That said, it is worth acknowledging that public perception matters, especially for someone like Chrisean, who's already been in the headlines for various controversies. On the other hand, there were also a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, who came to her defense hard. People pointing out that she's been open about her past struggles and the fact that people have taken advantage of her before. She's currently dealing with a lot in her personal life, which makes her potentially more vulnerable to manipulation. The entertainment industry and street culture are full of people who specifically target young women with fame and money. Comments like, "This is exactly what predators do. They find someone who's already dealing with a lot, gain their trust, and then exploit them. This is textbook." She's been through so much abuse and manipulation already. Of course, someone saw an opportunity to use her. This isn't her fault. Everyone wants to blame the woman. How about we blame the people who allegedly planned this scheme? And honestly, loves, when you look at the pattern of behavior, when you see how methodically this is allegedly set up, how someone allegedly gained her trust, specifically to use her in a financial scheme, it's hard not to lean toward believing this was a setup. Does that mean she bears zero responsibility for being more careful about who she trusts? Maybe not, but does it mean she's the villain here? Absolutely not. All right, so let's dig deeper into the alleged 19-year-old at the center of all this, because the internet has been busy trying to figure out who this person is and what his deal is. Now, I'm pulling this information from multiple TikTok investigations, YouTube deep dives, and Reddit threads where people have allegedly found his social media profiles, looked through his posts, checked his connections. Basically, the internet did what the internet does best and tried to build a complete picture of this person. So, first, how did he allegedly get connected to Chrisean in the first place? According to various sources online, they reportedly met relatively recently. We're talking within the past few months. Some people claim they met through mutual friends in the music industry. Others say they connected through social media. There are even rumors that he specifically sought her out because of her public profile, though that's harder to verify. What we do know, based on social media activity that people have screenshotted and shared, is that he's been appearing in her Instagram stories, allegedly been spotted with her at events, and generally seems to have gotten pretty close to her pretty quickly. And that's what a lot of people worried, loves, because when someone enters a celebrity's life out of nowhere and immediately gets close, like really close, it can be a red flag. Not always. Sometimes people genuinely connect. But in cases like this, where that person then allegedly ends up at the center of a fraud investigation, yeah, it looks suspicious. Now here's where it gets even more interesting, allegedly.
And here's the part that has people absolutely convinced he's guilty. Allegedly, after news of the bank incident started spreading online, his social media went dark, like completely dark. People are reporting that his Instagram either got deleted or went private, his Twitter account disappeared, his TikTok, if he had one, is nowhere to be found. People who are tagged in photos with him say they've even been deleting posts. That is very tantalizing behavior, right? Now, if you're innocent, if you genuinely didn't do anything wrong, why would you scrub your entire online presence the second a scandal breaks? That's the question everyone's asking. The general consensus online is that his disappearance from social media is basically an admission of guilt, or at least an admission that he knows he's in deep trouble. So what exactly was his role in all this, allegedly? Based on everything we've discussed, the bank incident, the suspicious check, the 33K connection, his sketchy background, the working theory online is this. He was allegedly the recruiter and the face of the operation, meaning someone, possibly this 33K figure, needed a way to deposit a fraudulent check without drawing immediate suspicion. So they allegedly had this 19-year-old who had managed to get close to Chrisean Rock convince her to go to the bank with him. Maybe he told her the check was legitimate. Maybe he said it was for a business deal they could both benefit from. Maybe he played on her emotions and trust. Whatever the story was, it allegedly worked. She reportedly went with him. And when things went sideways at the bank, she's the one whose name got attached to the investigation because she's the public figure. She's the one with something to lose. And that, loves, is why so many people are calling this a setup. Because it allegedly wasn't just a crime of opportunity, it was allegedly planned. Someone allegedly identified Chrisean as a target, but the right person in position to gain her trust, and then used that trust to potentially ruin her life. Okay, so now let's get into the receipts, because while a lot of this story is based on online investigation and social media chatter, there are allegedly some concrete pieces of evidence that have been circulating. So several drama channels and TikTok accounts claim they've seen a screenshot of the actual check in question, or at least a similar check that was part of the scheme. Now, most versions I've seen have account numbers and personal info blurred out, which, good, that's identity protection, but what people are pointing out is the amount. Allegedly around $33,000, which again connects to that 33K nickname. The account it was drawn from, allegedly a business account that when people looked it up had no legitimate business associated with it, and the signature allegedly looked suspicious even to amateur observers. Like, it might have been forged or copied. One YouTube commentary channel zoomed in on the signature and said, quote, "I'm not a handwriting expert, but even I can see that signature looks weird. The lines are too perfect, too uniform. It looks traced." This is where things get really incriminating for the 19-year-old, allegedly. Multiple sources online claim they've seen screenshots of text conversations, though we can't independently verify these are real or that they haven't been edited, between the 19-year-old and another person, possibly 33K or an associate, discussing the plan. According to what's been shared online, the messages allegedly said things like, "Unknown contact. You got her to say yes?" 19-year-old, allegedly. "Yeah, we go in tomorrow." Unknown contact. "Make sure she goes in with you. Can't look like you're there alone." 19-year-old. "I got it. She trusts me." Unknown contact. "If anything happens, she the one with the name anyway." I mean, if that's real, if those texts are actually legitimate, that's proof of premeditation, loves. That's proof that he allegedly knew exactly what he was doing and that he specifically planned to use Chrisean as a shield. Now, again, we can't verify these texts are real,
Screenshots can be faked. Messages can be edited. But the fact that they're circulating, the fact that they align with the broader narrative, and the fact that so many people find them believable, that tells you something about how this situation looks from the outside. According to these reports, the footage allegedly shows Chrisean looking confused or uncomfortable at certain points during the transaction. It allegedly shows the 19-year-old doing most of the talking with the bank teller. At one point, Chrisean allegedly steps away from the counter, suggesting maybe she wasn't fully involved in the conversation. When bank staff start acting suspicious, the 19-year-old allegedly tries to hurry the transaction along. Now, I want to be super clear. These are second-hand accounts of footage we haven't seen, so this could be exaggerated. It could be partially true. It could be completely made up. But if these descriptions are accurate, they paint a picture of Chrisean being present, but not necessarily in control. They suggest she maybe wasn't the one driving this transaction. And that supports the "she was set up" narrative. Remember how I mentioned that mysterious 33K figure? Well, Reddit has been working overtime, trying to figure out who that actually is. Here's what the digital detectives have allegedly pieced together. The nickname 33K allegedly shows up in several different contexts related to check fraud and bank scams in certain communities. People who claim to be familiar with street-level financial schemes say 33K is allegedly a known figure, not famous, but known to people in that world. Some Reddit users claim they've connected 33K to multiple similar incidents over the past couple years, though no one has posted definitive proof. The theory is that 33K runs an operation where he recruits people to carry out the physical parts of fraud schemes while he stays in the background. So, if that's all true, and again, big if, then what we're looking at isn't just one 19-year-old making a bad decision. We're looking at an allegedly organized operation that specifically targets people with public profiles, uses recruiters to gain their trust, and then exploits them for financial gain while the real mastermind stays in the background. That's sophisticated, loves. That's calculated. That's scary. All right, so we've covered what allegedly happened, who was allegedly involved, and what evidence supposedly exists. Now let's talk about the bigger picture. Why this happened and how did allegedly multiple people fail to protect Chrisean from this situation? Because here's the thing. If these allegations are true, this wasn't just one person making one bad decision. This was allegedly a failure at multiple levels involving multiple parties who either didn't see the red flags, ignored the red flags, or actively enabled the situation. Let's start with the entertainment industry itself, because unfortunately, stories like this aren't new. Young celebrities, especially young women, especially women of color, especially women who have been open about past traumas or struggles, are constantly targeted by people looking to exploit them. We've seen it over and over again. People get close to celebrities, gain their trust, and then use that proximity for personal gain. It happens with financial scams, like what's allegedly happening here, romantic manipulation, business deals that turn out to be fraudulent, friends who were really just opportunists. And the industry doesn't do enough to protect people from this. There's not enough education for young artists about financial literacy, about recognizing manipulation, about having proper legal and financial representation to review everything before they sign or agree to anything. Chrisean Rock came up fast in the public eye. She went from relative obscurity to reality TV to music career in a very short time. And when that happens, you don't always have the infrastructure around you, the managers, the lawyers, the accountants, the protection that more established celebrities have. So she was allegedly vulnerable. And someone allegedly saw that vulnerability and exploited it. Now, this is going to sound harsh, but it needs to be said.
Where were the people in Chrisean's life who should have been protecting her? If this 19-year-old came into her life recently and quickly got close to her, where were her friends saying, hey, we don't know this person, maybe slow down? Where were her family members, if she's in contact with them, asking questions about who she's spending time with? Where was her management team, if she has one, vetting the people around her and looking out for potential threats? And not saying that those people are to blame for the alleged scheme itself. The blame for that lies with whoever allegedly planned and executed the fraud. But when you're a public figure, when you have something to lose, when you're already dealing with a lot in your personal life, you need people around you who are going to be protective, who are going to ask hard questions, who are going to spot red flags before things blow up. And if Chrisean didn't have that support system, or if she had people around her who weren't doing that job properly, then that's a systemic failure that made her allegedly more vulnerable to being targeted. Okay, so this is a broader cultural issue, but it's relevant here. There's a whole culture, especially on social media, especially among younger people, around getting money by any means necessary. Hustling, making moves, securing the bag. And look, there's nothing wrong with wanting financial success or being entrepreneurial. But when that culture crosses the line into normalizing scams, fraud, and taking advantage of people, that's a problem.
For Chrisean, if the allegations are proven to be a setup and she's cleared of wrongdoing, she'll still have to deal with the reputation damage. If investigators determine she was involved, even unknowingly, she could potentially face charges or, at minimum, have a mark on her financial records. She'll likely have to lawyer up hard and prepare for both potential legal battles and public relations damage control. Her custody situation, if applicable, could be affected if this is used against her parent or in court. For the 19-year-old, if evidence shows he knowingly participated in fraud, he's looking at potential criminal charges. Bank fraud is a federal offense, loves. We're not talking about minor consequences. He'll likely be the primary target of any investigation since he, allegedly, was the one in direct contact with the bank. His social media disappearance suggests he's either already been contacted by law enforcement or he's anticipating it. Even if he avoids criminal charges, his reputation is toast and he's allegedly burned bridges with anyone who believed in him. For 33K, if this person exists, if 33K is real and was orchestrating from the background, he's likely been doing this kind of thing for a while and knows how to avoid getting caught directly. The challenge for investigators would be proving the connection between him and the specific scheme involving Chrisean. Unless the 19-year-old or someone else talks and provides evidence against 33K, he might slip away while others take the fall. This is the frustrating reality of organized schemes. The people at the top often avoid consequences, while the people who actually carry out the plans get caught. Beyond the specific people involved, this situation is yet another example of how celebrities, especially young ones, are targeted for financial exploitation. How quickly someone's reputation can be destroyed by association with allegations even before the facts are clear. How social media investigation culture can help expose truth but also spread misinformation and pile up judgment. And how vulnerable people are when they don't have strong support systems and professional protection. And honestly, loves, that's what makes this whole thing so sad, regardless of exactly how it all shakes out legally. Because even in the best case scenario, where Chrisean is completely exonerated and proven to be an innocent victim of a setup, she's still been through trauma. She still had her name dragged. She still had her trust betrayed. There's no outcome here where she walks away completely unscathed. And that's the real tragedy. All right, loves, so let's bring this all together because we have covered a lot of ground and there's a lot to process. Here's what we know, what we think we know, and what we're still waiting to find out. What we know.
or strongly believed based on evidence. Chrisean Rock was allegedly involved in a bank incident where a suspicious check was flagged. She was allegedly accompanied by a 19-year-old man she'd recently gotten close to. That 19-year-old has a questionable background and has since disappeared from social media. There are alleged connections to a figure known as 33K who may have orchestrated the scheme. The internet believes, based on available information, that Chrisean was set up and used as a pawn in a fraud scheme. The key concerns here are exploitation of trust. Someone allegedly got close to Chrisean specifically to use her. Financial crime. Bank fraud is serious and can have life-changing legal consequences. Reputation damage. Even if innocent, her name is now associated with fraud allegations. Pattern of targeting. This is allegedly not an isolated incident, but a part of a broader pattern of celebrities being exploited. Systemic failures. Multiple systems and people allegedly failed to protect her from the situation. And so, here's what we're all left wondering, loves. Will Chrisean Rock be cleared of wrongdoing and proven to be an innocent victim of a calculated setup? Will the 19-year-old and whoever else was allegedly involved in the scheme face real consequences for this? Will 33K, if this person really exists and really orchestrated this, ever be held accountable? And perhaps most importantly, what needs to change in the industry, in celebrity culture, to prevent this from happening to other people? Because make no mistake, if this could happen to Chrisean Rock, someone with a public platform and thousands of fans watching her every move, it can happen to anyone in that world who doesn't have a right partition around them. But I want to hear from you, loves, because this story has so many angles, and I'm sure you've got opinions. Do you think Chrisean was completely innocent and set up, or do you think she bears some responsibility for not being more careful about who she trusted? Do you believe the 33K Mastermind theory, or do you think this was just the 19-year-old acting on his own? What do you think should happen to everyone allegedly involved in this scheme? And bigger picture, what can young celebrities do to protect themselves from situations like this? Let me know in the comment section below what you think about this entire situation, because I love hearing your perspectives and your theories. Drop your thoughts, drop your hot takes, let's discuss this. And if you found this breakdown helpful, if you learned something new about this wild situation, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates as the story develops, because trust me, we are probably not done with this one. I'll see you in the next video, loves. Stay safe out there, protect your energy, and be real careful about who you let into your circle. Until next time, peace.